Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Ronnie Rantz alongside Tommy Krysan, TK over at a busy Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge. Uh, where they're hopping over there, getting ready for the holidays. I mean, I'll be picking up some Tremonti's later this week, some sides and different meats and stuff for the Rantz Christmas. And you should too. Go check it out, Tremonti's in Baton Rouge. All right, Tommy, it became official. We had heard, you and I had heard behind the scenes for a week or so that Frank Wilson was not going to be back next year on Lane Kiffin's staff. Why and exactly why and all that, got speculation, heard rumors, but maybe one day Lane Kiffin will address that, why he felt that wasn't a fit. But what is a fit is that Frank Wilson is now going to be going to Ole Miss. And you told me a stat before we went on air that was incredible.
17 people, 17 so far have either went from Ole Miss to LSU or LSU to Ole Miss, and that counts Austin Thomas, the GM, and other staffers. And who knows if that number will climb up. Ronnie, next year, September 19th, LSU plays at Ole Miss in Oxford. What a week of stories that the media can't wait. And LSU may finally have a rivalry if Ole Miss would push Mississippi State down just a notch, and they may do it after what has all transpired. So, and here's a connection. When Frank Wilson was a head coach at Texas San Antonio, he hired Pete Golding as his defensive coordinator, and that's before Pete went over to Bama and then to Ole Miss. So, these guys know each other. They have a network going, so it's just craziness. That I don't know if you can look this up, but I don't know if 17 people have switched between two schools in the history, but that's what college football is now, and it may happen again somewhere else down the road.
There was I had heard rumors last week that Texas, University of Texas, could have been a potential landing spot for Frank Wilson. Here's my question to you, Tommy. Frank Wilson is obviously has tremendous inroads in the state of Louisiana, in particular the city of New Orleans. He's beloved down there by the high school coaches, especially programs like Ed in the Car. Um, where would he been able to do more damage to LSU? Ole Miss or the University of Texas? I'm of the belief that the University of Texas was more of a, oh God, I hope he doesn't go there, or Texas A&M, oh God, I hope he doesn't go there, versus Ole Miss. Not that Ole Miss has less resources financially than LSU or whatever. Just I don't know. Maybe I feel like a kid from inner city New Orleans going to Texas and Austin, big time program, highest revenue, really of anybody, versus going to Oxford and Ole Miss, very different kind of image, very different type of town. Uh, I just think that scares me. Texas A&M scares me more than Ole Miss. Maybe I'm naive, but that's just the way I feel about it.
Well, Ronnie, here's something. I was thinking about this last night. Today's world of college football, does that recruiting guy really matter as much as what's the NIL going to be? I mean, it's about relationships. I get that. And, we saw so many coaches in the dome last week, just being there from Marshall Falk at Southern to, everybody being there. So I don't know if them old days of, hey, this guy's a great recruiter. Well, if you're a great recruiter and you're at Southeastern and they don't have any NIL money, it doesn't matter. You're not going to get the people you maybe would have got. I don't know if that's in a transition stage or not.
No, I agree, TK. Uh, I would say that look, I don't know what to make of all this. It changes daily. I don't know what to make of this whole new world of NIL and transfer portal. The, I think everybody, it's just all lip service. I mean, yesterday I saw a video the other day. Um, uh, th- I saw a video the other day where what's his name? The new coach at Memphis, the former coach at Southern Miss for 1 year. He was at Marshall. Can't remember his name, but he was at Marshall, if you remember, won the conference. Then he ends up going to Southern Miss, who finished last in the conference, got them in a bowl game year one. Now he's at Memphis. And he was addressing his team very first day, and they showed video of it. This was just a few days ago. And in that video, he addresses his Memphis team and he says, hey, you guys have a bowl game to play. Hey, where are the seniors? Seniors raise their hand. Hey, it's important for them and all that. And I'm thinking to myself, just because you're a senior nowadays, Tommy, doesn't mean that you're a senior like it used to be. Hey, thanks for being here for 4 or 5 years and being loyal to our program. You could be a senior and this is your fourth stop, you know? And I laughed to myself because I'm thinking this guy's coached at three different schools in 3 years. We got seniors, who knows how many schools they've been at. Like the idea that there's loyalty or some sort of special feeling or some sort of alumni, that's for the fans. That has nothing to do with players and coaches. They don't give a two rats asses about the name on the chest, the tradition, and all that. They say it. It's all lip service. They don't really mean it. So as long as the fans understand that, Tommy, as long as they understand it, look, the nostalgia part of it, that is for you guys and for your papa and your Pookie and all that to worry about. The players and coaches don't care. They will be gone. They're gone yesterday. They'll be gone tomorrow.
Well, it goes back to the famous story about the 13 players going in Saban's office after they lost to Washington on their exit meeting and saying, "How much are you going to pay me next year?" I mean, here's Nick Saban, arguably the greatest college football coach of all, and you're not really worried that it's Saban or it's Alabama who's got all the whistles and bells in their facilities and the tradition. You're worried about how much money you're getting. So it's just, as Craig said in the comment, it's just a complicated thing now. And I don't know that old say, like when Pete Jenkins used to recruit in New Orleans, he went and got Roland Barbay and other people out of New Orleans who had great careers at LSU. I don't know that plays the same way it once did.
100%, it doesn't play the same as it once did, Tommy. And look, everything is just transactional at this point. I mean, it's just a transactional. Sports in general is transactional. There's really no difference other than a smaller zeros between what we think of as professional sports and collegiate sports of any kind, whether it's baseball or volleyball or whatever, it's all transactional. Hearing about and learning, talking to like Northwestern State coaches and Louisiana Tech coaches and all that. Louisiana Tech got two offensive linemen that just re-signed, one for 400,000, one for 300,000 last week. Like, what? Are you kidding me? That's more money than Skip Bertman ever made in the season, or what the Louisiana Tech coach used to make. I mean, it's
But
just crazy.
well, Ronnie, I can remember years ago, and you're going to recognize these names when I'm involved with the Covington High football program, and Vince Dooley walks in the building, Jack Elway, John Elway's dad, who was coaching at Stanford, walks in the building. I mean, you had people like that just coming by to say hello and, hey, what you got any linemen this year, whatever, because no internet world was a little different. Those days are over. These kids want to know, how much am I going to get paid? Am I going to get on the field? Because they all think they're going to be in the NFL, and very few of them are.
Yeah. All right, TK, let's move on. New Orleans Saints. So what do we got this weekend?
Saints will host the Jets noon Sunday in the Dome. Saints 2-game win streak, 4-point favorite, but the over and under is 40.5. So they're not looking for a lot of points in that game. The Jets are 3-11, Saints 4-10. Final home game, the last chance you get to see the Saints playing on next year in New Orleans. So maybe they'll get a few extra bodies in the building with it being the final home game of the year for the Saints.
Everybody is excited about this Tyler Shuck, the way he's played. I would say temper the enthusiasm. You're playing, but temper the enthusiasm, but be enthusiastic. Provided he over the last
keep it in perspective. Yeah,
keep it in perspective. And look, Tommy, it should get better, right? You're playing garbage teams here. You have three teams that have nothing to play for. You got the Jets, who's one of the literally the worst or second worst team in the league. You got the worst team in the league, and the Titans on the road with a rookie quarterback, and you've got Atlanta, who's eliminated from the quarterback and they're from the playoffs, and they're discombobulated with all kind of question marks. So you know, you got three games that you should win. By the way, Jim Mora last week said the Saints were going to win the last four games of the year. Just FYI on a little show. But you got three teams that are hot garbage. You're the only one of those three teams who's got any kind of juice or enthusiasm, right? You won a couple in a row. You had no expectations this year anyway, and you got your rookie quarterback that you're thinking, hey man, this guy might be able to be our quarterback of the future. So I expect the Saints to play well these last 3 weeks of the season, and Tyler Shuck should just continue to get better and better, which would then put him going into the postseason, the off season, with a lot of confidence. And at that point, if you win the next three games, Tommy, you're staring down the barrel of a 10 to 15 draft pick, and you're not going to be going in. You're not going to be looking for a quarterback.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, he's the guy right now. The silver lining is he needs to get better each and every week. Yeah, he's still going to make a mistake or two. He's a rookie. That happens. But if he gets better and he gets confident and teammates get confident, that could yield good things for next year. So even though the Saints aren't going to the playoffs and we don't know what will happen with the draft situation, the games are important for a lot of reasons as they continue to rebuild and prepare for next year. And again, this final chance to see the Saints this year at home is Sunday. So maybe, like I said, maybe they'll get a few extra bodies in the dome.
What else we got, TK?
Well, college football playoff Friday night, Alabama, Oklahoma. It's 3 games Saturday. Ole Miss, Tulane, Texas A&M, Miami, Oregon, James Madison in that order. So a lot of
Raging
attention to
Cajuns tonight.
Raging Cajuns tonight, 2.5 point favorite over Delaware. Raging Cajuns have won 4 in a row. Went from 2-6 to get bowl eligible. You got to tip your hat, especially as you pointed out the other day, the injuries that have occurred to that program. So they play in Delaware. Both teams are 6-6. Somebody's going to have a winning season. So hopefully the Raging Cajuns can use it, kind of like the Saints are doing, to just kind of get some things in line to get ready for next season.
Yeah, I don't know how you bet on the bowl games outside the playoffs, just
Yeah.
because, unless you're willing to really dig in and do research and pull up rosters and check the internet and, wait till, like, all right, let me see what the roster looks like, an hour before kickoff, who's there, who's not, because of the portal, because of guys opting to sit out and all. You just don't know who's going to play, who's in it, who's motivated, who's not. There's rumors that Lunch Williams, the quarterback for UL, the Raging Cajuns, might not be back next year, might be going to portal, got a lot of interest from other schools, might be getting a bigger payday to go somewhere else. How does that affect the bowl game? LSU, I don't, I would take Houston, gun to the head. I would bet on Houston. LSU's offense is awful. Why would it get better when you got guys that are probably considering other options and things? And we've already had some players, leave. So it's a weird situation. But for a gambler, unless you're just, got to have $25 on a game just to make it interesting. If you're going to put any kind of real money, you need to do some real homework to even just see, does this offense even look like the offense that played during the regular season and won 7, 8, 9 games?
Well, and you don't know. You might do your homework, as things could change the morning of the game. It's
That's
like
what I'm
betting
saying.
on
That's what.
it's like betting on
Yeah,
preseason football or spring training baseball when you don't know if the Grom's going to throw 20 pitches and get out of there. I mean, it's I'm like, I think you focus your money on the playoffs. Okay, you got 4 games this weekend, Friday night, 3 Saturday. That's where you need to put your money, looking for value on those games, because the Raging Cajuns and the Blue Hens of Delaware tonight. You want to throw, like you said, throw $20 on it for kicks and giggles. Go ahead and do it, but I wouldn't bet much more than that on any of the bowl games. I'm not picking on the Raging Cajuns. Or you got the New Orleans Bowl coming up. I mean, just enjoy football if you want.
All right, Tommy, tell us about Tremonti's on the way out.
Well, they got the prime rib Christmas special, bone in or boneless. You can order it now. Prime rib, you can get the whole prime rib, you can get a half a prime rib. I get that every year. It is outstanding, through the roof good. Boneless or bone in prime rib at Tremonti's. We'll be back Friday morning with another episode of Sports Shores Daily. See if the Raging Cajuns can get it done tonight. On behalf of Ronnie Rantz, I'm Tommy Krysan. Have a wonderful Wednesday, everyone.